Reaching up high there to defend. That's what we're talking about today, defense. And playing third hand high, except you guys all knew that there was an exception, I hope. There's hardly anything in bridge that doesn't have an exception except for the rule of 11. The rule of 11 always works because it's based on a mathematical principle. But most of the others should be called guidelines rather than rules, and third hand rules are no exception. That's why I call them third hand guidelines. Last week, we talked about what the three goals that we have in mind when we play high as third hand. You guys have probably all heard the expressions second hand low and third hand high for most of your bridge playing life. These are general guidelines. And you know, if you don't do anything other than adhere to those, you'll probably do just fine. But if you really, really, really want to be a good defender, if you can learn when the few exceptions are and adhere to the guidelines for the exceptions, you will find out that your results will go up in a hurry, because good defenders tend to run into a whole lot of unlucky declarers. And declarers are unlucky when they have good defenders playing against them. That's part of what goes into success or failure as a declarer. Sometimes it's just the way the cards lie around the table. But other times it's because the defenders know a few tricks and know what to do to minimize the number of tricks that the declarer takes. So our three goals when we're playing third hand high are to keep the declarer from winning a cheap trick. When I was playing on Wednesday, I saw a declarer win a trick with the 7. It was my partner. Sometimes that happens against no trump, because when you're playing no trump, whether you're the declarer or the defender, the rule is take your losses early when you're trying to set up a suit. So sometimes that happens. When you're trying to set up your suit and your partner can't help you, occasionally the declarer will get a cheap trick. Hopefully you get it back in the long run. But at a suit contract, that can be especially deadly. So you want to play high in third hand to keep the declarer from getting a cheap trick. Another reason you want to do it is, especially when your partner has led low. Remember, we use Boston leads a lot. Bottom of something, top of nothing. And so when partner leads low and you have an honor in your hand, you want to play that honor, even if it gets taken by declarer's higher honor, because you and your partner are trying to work together to develop tricks on defense. You're trying to promote winners. This is the same thing the declarer does when he's trying to set up his suits. He can promote winners. The defense can promote winners. And then, of course, there's finally, you want to see if you can't trap some honors in the declarer's hand between your hand and your partner's hand. We also talked about third hand plays high, but only as high as necessary. When third hand holds touching honors, or even spot cards, like high spot cards like 10s and 9s, play only as high as absolutely necessary. In that, by doing that, by utilizing that technique, it makes it easier for your partner to place the missing honors around the table, because when you play the higher honor of the two touching honors, you deny possession of the one immediately beneath it. So in this example here that I've shown on this slide, your partner leads low from the king. Here he has king 10, 8, 2. He has 2 honors, so he leads the 2. Dummy has no high cards here. So we're not trying to guard a jack or anything in the dummy. So third hand plays the highest card he has here because there are no honors in the dummy. He plays the queen, and declarer doesn't know whether he has the king and the queen or whether it's just the queen. So he needs to play the ace. He's hoping that if third hand has the king also, that he can lead through his remaining jack 6 and develop another trick with the jack. That would be the reason why he would take the ace over the queen here. But note what happens here. When third hand plays this queen and declarer plays the ace, now declarer's jack is trapped between the 9 here and the king 10 over here in partner's hand. We're always going to lose a trick to the ace here, but by playing high, we limit the declarer to 1 trick in the suit. Let's say that third hand says, oh, I just know declarer has a higher card. I'm going to lose my queen. I want to take a trick with my queen. I don't want to lose it. I want to hold on to it. And he plays the 9 instead. Well, declarer then gets a trick with the jack and a trick with the ace. He's not entitled to 2 tricks on this holding. He's entitled to only 1. So by being stingy, if third hand plays the 9 instead of the queen, declarer gets more than he deserves. So we see several principles here. We're promoting winners in partner's hand by playing high. We're keeping the declarer from winning a cheap trick by playing the queen instead of the 9. And we're trapping the jack that's left in declarer's hand by playing the queen on the first round. All 3 principles are illustrated by this particular holding. I can't believe that I found a combination that worked that well, but sometimes it does. When third hand gets back in the lead, he needs to lead the 9. Remember, when you're returning your partner's lead, you lead current count. So with the remaining doubleton, he puts the higher card on the table first, and that declarer either has to play the jack or the 9 will hold the trick. Notice, he either plays the jack or the 9 holds the trick. So declarer does not get a trick with the jack at all, only with the ace when the defenders play properly. Now, we also discussed how important it is to interpret partner's lead of a low card. When partner leads a low card, or when he leads a high honor even, we need to make sure that we can make the declarer take the trick he deserves, but we need to be sure not to play any honor that is higher than we absolutely have to play. For instance, if partner leads low and there's an honor in the dummy, and you have a higher honor in your hand, if declarer calls for the low card from the dummy, you don't automatically put that higher honor on the table. You keep that honor in your hand to guard the honor that's in the dummy. If you play your ace, for instance, and the queen is in the dummy, and partner doesn't have the king, then you have set up 2 tricks for the declarer. He's always entitled to 1 trick in a suit when he holds both the king and the queen. There's nothing you can do to keep him from getting at least 1 trick. What you don't want to do is give him 2 tricks with it, though. So we've talked about playing high, only as high as necessary, though, when you have touching honors. Remember, you lead high, follow low. When you have a sequence, lead high from it. When you follow low. We also talked about keeping an honor in your hand to guard an honor in the dummy, so that declarer doesn't get more tricks in the suit than he's entitled to. The final consideration when talking about third hand play is based on a technique that is sometimes really hard for newer players. It's called unblocking, and basically what it looks like is wasting your high honor on one of partner's high honors. It's the same kind of concept that we teach to newer players when we're teaching you how to play a hand of bridge. We say, play the honors from the short side first, so that you come back to the hand that has the longer cards in the suit. So when you're set up, you're not trapped in the other hand because you played honors from the long side first and ended up on the short side over there. And now you've got winners in your hand that you may or may not be able to get back to. The defenders need to use the same concept. And to do that, they have to do what is known as unblock. Now, you do this basically to avoid stranding winners in your partner's hand. Sometimes that means that third hand has to play an unnecessarily high card so he can keep a low card in his hand to lead back to his partner. So here's the rule in this situation. When you hold an honor doubleton or a double honor tripleton, by double honor tripleton, I mean something like king, queen small or queen, jack small, something like that, overtake partner's honor or drop one of your high honors if partner has led a higher honor than yours in order to unblock the suit. This all sounds very confusing when I'm talking about it, I know. So here's an example. Here's a classic example. I see this happen fairly regularly when I'm watching limited games. Partner's on lead. He has a lovely 3-card sequence here. This represents a good source of tricks for him, especially at no trump. You know how it is sometimes as declarer, you're in 3 no trump and you've got 1 unguarded suit and you're anxiously awaiting the side of the dummy to see whether your partner can provide you with something in that suit to stop a run of tricks. Yuck, partner puts down the dummy and he doesn't have anything either. This is what leads to situations like this. Hopefully you're only in 1 no trump when you have a layout like this. If you're in 3, you're down before you ever get the lead. If the defenders play correctly. When partner leads the king, third hand says, oh, well, great, my partner must have the queen. And if it's a no trump contract, he has either the jack or the 10 in addition to that, because he needs a 3-card perfect sequence or broken sequence to lead this way against no trump. It is critically important for third hand to play the ace. That seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? But if you don't play the ace and put that 5 back on the table immediately, you'll take the second trick in the suit, and maybe partner has another entry to his hand and maybe he doesn't. You don't know. If he does have an entry, you have to guess where it is. You already know where 1 entry is. If he's led the king, he's promised the queen. So put that ace on top of that king and then fire that 5 back. As you notice, partner's going to reel off the remaining 4 tricks. You're going to take the first 5 tricks if you play correctly. If you don't, you'll take the first 2 and you may not take any more. It makes all the difference in this situation. This is what is left after you play the ace. Notice third hand has a low card left to return to his partner. If he doesn't play the ace, the only card he has left is the ace. He takes the second trick and it's curtains for the defense. Those winners will be stranded in your partner's hand unless you play the ace on the king. Now,
Susan?
yes.
Got a question from Janet.
Yeah, Susan, are you going to play that sequence also if you're in a trump suit versus no trump?
Yes, I am indeed, because when I do this, I'm showing my partner I have a doubleton. He can, obviously, I don't need to rough anything, but I want to give my partner the best chance. If he's got, say, 3 or 4 cards in the suit and I have only 2, then odds are pretty good that the dummy and the declarer both have several cards in the suit and he can continue to take winners. So I'm going to do this at a suit contract as well.
Okay.
If it turns out we're in a suit contract, he promises only the queen when he leads, because we have only a 2-card sequence. But notice I have a doubleton. If he leads it again and he has only king, queen, small, small, let's say, he can lead a small one and I can rough the third round.
Mhm.
So I'm going to do it regardless whether it's a suit contract or a no trump contract. Good question, Janet. Thank you.
Would you go back to page 2?
Sure. There. Here it is.
Okay, what if he leads low, you play your queen, but what if the ace is in the dummy? All right, and I've won this with my queen. Are you still going to lead that suit back?
Not necessarily, no, but that's a completely different situation.
Okay, all right,
The
that's
ace is
all.
in the dummy.
Thank you. Okay.
We'll get to honors in the dummy here in just a minute, okay? All right, let's see. Here we go. Sometimes it's not a matter of overtaking. Sometimes you're not going to be able to win the trick, but you have a high honor in your hand. And I've got an example here that I think illustrates this perfectly. Partner leads the jack. Declarer calls for the ace from dummy. He may fear a switch to another suit. Obviously, he doesn't have coverage in the suit at all, but he may think that he can take that ace and run off the tricks that he needs, depending on a favorable break and some outside suits. There are all kinds of reasons why, even at no trump, declarer might call for the ace here. What's critically important here is when partner leads the jack and declarer plays the ace, third hand has to drop one of these honors. This is the situation where I was talking about double honor tripleton. This is a perfect example of a double honor tripleton. You can see that if you play the 6 on this trick, thinking you're encouraging your partner, you can take the next 2 leads in the suit, but how are you going to get back to these little small cards over here? Nobody else is going to have any cards in this suit left by the time it's gone around 3 times. So if you don't drop the king here or the queen, doesn't matter which one, then by the time it's the third round comes around, you're not going to have a small card here to fire back over to your partner. You will take the second and third rounds of the suit, and that'll be it. Is it hard to drop the king on an ace? You bet it is. You think, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I'm giving away tricks. No, you're not. Not if your partner has led correctly. This is why we emphasize following the guidelines to opening leads so much. Partner has led from a perfect sequence over here. He has the jack, the 10, and the 9. He should have at least the jack, 10, and 8. Without that, if he had jack, 6, 5, 4, and he led the jack, you would have no such assurance. By dropping an honor, you might be setting up the 10 for the declarer. That's why we say, when you're leading against no trump, and you lead an honor, it promises the honor immediately beneath it. So when partner leads an honor, dummy plays a high honor to win the trick. If you're sitting with cards in your hand that you need to get rid of, you've got to drop a high honor on the play of the ace here. What you're doing is getting out of your partner's way. When you have the king and the queen in your hand here, you're in your partner's way if you play the 6 on the first trick. Sometimes high cards are considered 8s and 7s. When your partner's trying to run a suit, it can be really important to get rid of high spot cards early too, simply because you don't want the lead to end up in your hand. I don't know if you've ever had it happen before, but I have, when my partner's running a long suit and I forget to drop my 8s and 7s, so that when my partner has the 5, 4, and 3 left, he leads one of them and my 7 wins the trick and I don't have one left to send back to him. The whole idea is when your partner leads showing length is that if you have any high cards in your hand, you get out of his way. You get out of his way here by dropping the king on the ace. You will then win the second round with the queen and still have that small one left to send back over to partner's long cards. If it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, you're absolutely right. I am here because this is a really important concept and it's hard to do. The first time you do it, you think, I'm giving the declarer a top board. I'm getting us a 0. Oh no. That may
Susan?
happen sometimes.
Susan,
Yes.
question from the chat. In that last example, wouldn't the declarer leave that suit since they're weak in that suit?
No, the declarer won't lead it. Your partner will need to get back on lead, or maybe you can get on lead. Declarer is not likely to have all the tricks he needs. If he is, he's probably underbid. If he has all the tricks he needs, he is probably underbid. Especially in no trump contracts, side suits have to be developed. If partner takes a trick in another suit, he can continue his suit. In which case, you're going to play your high card. You're gonna take the second round. You're not going to play low and let partner hang on to the trick. You're going to get that high card out of your hand and then fire back this low one. The whole idea is at the third round, you have a low card left to send back to your partner. That's the reason for playing the way you do. You're not going to get to take this trick immediately because partner and smart declarers know that sometimes suits block because defenders don't know how to unblock. So when they have a wide open suit here and they think there's a chance that declarer knows where the king and queen are, it's entirely possible the king is over here to his left because he could have king jack 10, but he knows where the queen is for sure because his opponent is never leading the jack from queen jack 10. So he knows that if the third hand doesn't unblock, then the suit will be blocked and he has nothing to fear. That's the reason why some declarers will play the ace in this situation, particularly if they think their opponents are not experienced enough to know to drop an honor. They think they can get the defenders to block the suit for them. There's nothing that says that declarers have to be anything less than deceitful. It's okay to be deceptive if you're the declarer. You don't have a partner you're trying to fool. You can play an unnecessarily high card. You can conceal low cards to try to confuse the defense if they're signaling each other. Declarers are known to do all kinds of ugly things. I got trapped in a play yesterday that absolutely, I had no idea that my opponent was as fine a player as she was. I took a finesse leading toward the king jack 10 of clubs, and I played the 10 and she played the ace. She had the ace and the queen both. She played the ace the first time. Well, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, oh, hey, the queen's on my left. I'm going to get me an extra trick here. And I led to the jack again the next time, and she took the queen and set me big time. She played deceptively. Because I got greedy. I thought I was going to get an extra trick. And she took the queen from me. She got the ace and the queen both, even though I led the 10 by playing deceptively that way. That's the sign of a very good defender. Well, declarers can do the same thing, folks. They can be deceptive. The third hand knows to drop an honor here. This deception and the blocking will not work. You will get your tricks anyway. I hope everybody sees this. This is a rather advanced concept in defense, and it takes a nerve to execute it because we're not used to dropping honors. But sometimes it's absolutely necessary. Now, here's an example of a whole hand. Look at this hand that declarer has. This is absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? 25 high card points. My partner picked up, or at the table, maybe one day last week, my opponent picked up a hand that had 31 high card points in it. Far and away the biggest hand I have ever seen and probably ever will see. This fella opened 3 no trump. You can certainly do that. a lot of us would open at 2 clubs, we'd get 2 diamonds here, 3 no trump. So we're going to end up the same place no matter what. This looks like a reasonable contract, doesn't it? We have 6 tricks here in hearts and diamonds. We could develop 2 more in clubs easily. And when the dummy comes down, he has the king of clubs, lo and behold. Well, that looks wonderful. I can see 10 tricks off the top. The problem is we're wide open in spades. Wide open. Wes says, I have the perfect opening lead here. It seems to me that we might have a chance here. All my partner has to have is the ace of spades. But even if declarer has it, if my partner can get back in at some point, then we still have a shot at defeating the contract. So when king of clubs hits the table, here is where East sits. We know that partner has the queen and either the jack or the 10. He either has king, queen, jack, or king, queen, 10. We don't know which he has. The dummy doesn't have, well, we see the 10 in the dummy. So partner should have the jack, the king, queen, jack over there. I see 3 in the dummy. Declarer has a balanced hand, so he has at least 2 of them. So my partner has at least 5 spades in his hand. He may have 6. I don't know for sure. What I do know is that I have to put the ace on the table and put the 2 back to return. Notice the defense takes the first 5 tricks, even though there are 25 combined points in the declarer and dummy's hands. It's a matter of the distribution. Make some of these other suits a little less solid and give the declarer something in spades or the dummy something in spades, and that won't happen. But regardless, it is critically important here for East to play the ace and return the 2. If he doesn't, the defense will take 2 tricks and the declarer and will take the remaining tricks. Well, he'll have to give up a spade in the end here because both of them have 3 spades in their hands, but he will make 4 no trump without breaking a sweat. So for those defenders who know how to unblock, they'll set this contract 1 trick. For those who don't, declarer will sail home. So it's a huge difference, huge difference. Let's practice a little bit here. I deliberately didn't give you the answers. I will send them to you if anybody wants them, but I'm going to tell you what the answers are now. So partner leads the 4 in each of these examples, and declarer calls for the 2 from the dummy. Which card does third hand play here on example 1?
The ace.
Why does he play the ace?
I can only say that because I'm looking at all 4 hands.
Well, but there's a reason why he plays the ace. There are no honors in the dummy. Remember our first rule, when there are no honors in the dummy, third hand plays high, the highest card he has. Notice what happens if you get cheap and you think, well, I'll save my ace and lead it next time and then fire the 5 back. Then declarer gets a trick with a 10 of all things. And maybe he goes on to make his contract before you can get back in to give partner his winners. But if third hand plays the ace, then he puts the 8 on the table. We always lead back based on how many cards we have in our hands. With a doubleton left, you lead the top of a doubleton always. So with a doubleton left, he puts the 8 on the table. This time declarer will probably play the 10. He's hoping that partner doesn't have the jack, but it looks fairly doubtful that third hand has it, because if third hand had the jack, he would put it on the table. So it doesn't matter whether declarer plays the 10 or the queen. Those two cards are trapped by the king jack in your partner's hand, and your partner rips off 4 more tricks in this suit. This is an example of trapping the queen in declarer's hand. We play high third hand, no honor in the dummy to cover. So we play the highest card we have, and that's the ace. Return the 8, and we have trapped declarer's remaining honor. That means that our side gets the first 5 tricks here. If they're in 3 no trump, they're 1 down already. If they're in 1 or 2 no trump, we're a long way towards setting the contract. Next example, same thing, partner leads the 4. Declarer calls for the 2 from dummy. What card does third hand play here?
King.
King.
King. Yes, absolutely. Same reason, no honor in the dummy. We've got to hope that partner is leading from an honor. He's led low, so generally that means that he did lead low from an honor. We don't know what the honor is, but that's our partner over there. We're supposed to be cooperating with partner. So hopefully by playing the king, we're going to promote some honors in his hand. Sure enough, declarer is going to take the ace, because if he allows the third hand to hold it, he gets a lead back through the ace jack, and he's never taken a trick with that jack anyway. So he will play the ace. Now, that means that the next time this suit is led, it needs to be led by third hand. Hopefully he'll get the lead, and then he'll put the 8 on the table for the second round. Because he has a doubleton left, he'll put the 8 on the table. That will trap the jack between the queen and the 10. And the defense will get 3 tricks in the suit. If third hand doesn't play high, declarer gets 2 tricks. He's only entitled to 1. So it's critically important that third hand play high here. Here's another example. Partner leads the 4. Dummy, declarer calls for the 2 from dummy. What does third hand play here? The king, the 10, or the 8?
8.
The 8? Really? That means that declarer is going to get a trick with this jack. Does he deserve it? He doesn't, does he? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Third hand should play the king here. The ace is in the dummy, but third hand doesn't have a higher honor. You can't take the ace with the king. That's not what the rules of the game allow. So third hand should take the king. Not only is he winning the trick for the defense, but he's getting out of his partner's way. He has a doubleton left, so he puts the 10 on the table. This forces the declarer to play the jack. Partner will play the queen. The ace is played next, and partner's 9 controls the third round. That's a huge difference. If you play the 10 or the 8 on the first round, declarer gets a trick with the ace and with the jack. He's not entitled. Third hand here plays high because there is no lower honor in the dummy for him to guard with his king. So ace on the first answer, king on the second answer, king on the third answer. For different reasons, but you should still play the highest card in your hand in these situations. Now then, I don't show as much here as I did on the last ones. This time your partner leads the 6. This is the dummy, and this is third hand's holding, queen, jack, 10. We've got the 6 and the 4 on the table. Which card does third hand play from this holding?
The 10.
The 10, yes. Why does he play the 10?
When you have a sequence and you're and you're playing like that, you play the lowest of the sequence, you're not the lead.
Lead high, follow low. If you play the queen on this trick, you deny possession of the jack and 10. Your partner would be totally justified in thinking that the declarer had those cards in his hand. These rules may seem unnecessarily complicated. Why don't we just play our cards? Well, you know what? There's nothing that says that you can't do it that way. But if you have some guidelines to follow and you actually practice and pay attention, then defense is not just a matter of guesswork. You and your partner can communicate very effectively according to the cards you play. Even your little pips can be used to tell partner whether you like a suit or whether you don't. How many cards you have in a suit that the declarer is leading. All kinds of things if you want to use them. This is one of the easier things to use and the easier things to keep track of. If declarer takes this trick with the king, then your partner is going to know that you hold the queen and the jack, because if declarer held one of those cards, he would win the trick with one of those cards, not with the king. We're hoping partner has the king. Since he led the 6, you know, we're kind of hoping that partner has the king. So if he does, then we'll hold the trick with the 10. Then when we lead, if the 10 holds the trick, when we lead, we're going to lead with the queen. Lead from the top, follow from the bottom. If the 10 holds the trick, you have a doubleton left, and you always lead the higher card when you have a doubleton. But even if you didn't, you're trying to get out of your partner's way, so you're going to put that queen on the table next. Declarer may or may not take the ace on the next round of the suit. He may be holding it up as long as he possibly can. Regardless, this is the way that third hand should play in this example. The 10 on the first round. If it holds the trick, he returns the queen. If it doesn't, then when he gets back in the lead, he can lead the queen, or at that point, partner can lead low to him again, because he will be able to figure out that third hand holds the queen and the jack. Now, here's another example that's slightly more complicated. Partner leads the 6 again. This time, dummy has the jack 8-4, and third hand has the king queen 10. Which card does third hand play?
I would play the queen.
Anybody else have a vote or have an opinion? Let's say everybody has a vote.
10.
Somebody says the 10. Was that you, Penny?
Yes.
Why are you playing the 10, Penny?
Well, because the jack is not going to overtake it, and whether you play.
Right. Good for you. Yes. It always pays to look at the cards that are in the dummy. The king, the queen, and the 10 are all equal because declarer didn't call for the jack. The only high card that declarer can have in his hand here is the ace. If it's a suit contract, partner did not underlead the ace. If it's no trump, partner may well have the ace. We don't know, because it's okay to underlead an ace against a no trump contract, but never against a suit contract. But when the jack is in the dummy and it isn't played, the king, queen, and 10 are all equal. The 10 will force the ace the same as the queen. This is called a surrounding play here, because third hand has the honors that surround the honor in the dummy. The queen and 10 are the cards that are on either side. So when this honor isn't played, you can afford to play the lower honor that surrounds the honor in the dummy. So here the correct card is the 10. If it holds the trick, you will lead the king back. Now here's another one. This one's a little trickier. Partner leads the 6. Dummy calls for the 4. Which card are we going to play here? We're going to play the king, the jack, or the 10.
king.
Debbie says the king. Does everybody agree?
I thought maybe the 10.
Well, does partner, do you know for sure the partner has the queen? You don't, do you? You kind of think you might, but this is the same situation that was back on the previous slide. Here, the honor that's in the dummy is higher ranking than third hand's honor. So he needs to play the king. He needs to play the king. What we're hoping is that partner has the queen, obviously. If he doesn't, well, life happens. He picked the suit that he thought was best to lead. So play the king, put the jack back on the table. That helps partner because you're trying to force out the ace still, and you still have the 10 left that partner can win with the queen if need be. So in this particular instance, the correct answer is the king. You might try finessing against a possible queen in your partner's hand, but you don't know for sure whether he has it. There is no honor to guard in the dummy here, because the only honor in the dummy is higher than any of third hand's honors. So he needs to play the king here. I can understand why somebody might say play the 10. You're thinking that partner has led low. Surely he has the queen. But sometimes partners are just up against it for an opening lead, and they lead a suit that they think will not finesse one of their honors. So you can't always make that assumption. If the declarer has the queen, well, you were always getting only one trick from this suit anyway. So if you, particularly at a suit contract, when you want to be sure of taking a trick, you play the king here on this one. Okay. Now we have some more examples here. This time partner leads the 4 and declarer calls for the 2 from the dummy. Third hand now has the ace, the jack. Oops, I put the 4 in there and I put the 2 in declarer's hand. Obviously, I was asleep when I was doing this. One of these should have the 3 and one should have the 5, obviously. So with the 4 and the 2, which card does third hand play in this situation?
I would play the jack
Why would you play the jack, Debbie?
because dummy has the queen and I need to keep an honor to cover that honor.
Right, exactly. This time there is an honor in the dummy, and third hand has a higher honor. He keeps that honor to guard the queen. Now, in this particular instance, third hand would take the trick with the jack. That may not always be true, but the jack is the correct play here. Next, he plays the ace, and then he plays the, well, not the 4, the 5, whatever small card that is. Because when partner leads low like this, he is in effect saying, this is bottom of something, partner. So he's got something. I can see the ace, the queen, and the jack. Generally, partner wouldn't lead low from a 10, hoping to set it up. That is truly a desperation move. And I won't say that it never happens, but it's not normally the case. So third hand should be thinking that partner is the one who has the king. And on this holding, declarer is not entitled to any tricks in the suit. If third hand plays the ace, he will get a trick with the queen. That's why we keep the ace to guard the queen. If the jack loses to the king in declarer's hand, so be it. Because holding the king and the queen, declarer is always entitled to one trick. He is not entitled to 2. And that's what he would get, holding the king and the queen, if you play the ace here. Third hand plays the jack, not knowing for sure what the exact situation is. He doesn't know whether the jack will win or not. In this case, it does. It may not. If declarer takes the trick with the king, well, you still have the ace sitting over the queen, and he gets only the one trick that he's entitled to get. Now, the next one is similar. Here partner leads the queen, or leads the 4. He has 3 small, queen, and 3 small. So he leads the 4. Declarer calls for the 2. Now, what card here does third hand play?
The 10.
The 10, yes. You guys are catching on. Absolutely right. We're saying partners led low. If it's a no trump contract, it might be the ace he has. If it's a suit contract, it should be the queen. But by playing the 10, third hand keeps the king to guard the jack. If he plays the king, declarer will take his ace, and the next time all he has to do is lead toward the jack. Partner will have to take his queen, and declarer will get 2 tricks from this suit again. He's not entitled to 2 tricks. He's entitled to only 1 if defended correctly. Third hand keeps the king over the jack in the dummy. He plays the 10. As it happens, that forces the ace if declarer wants to win the trick. Now, third hand and partner can get tricks with the king and the queen. And if it's no trump, partner's 4th card, the 13th card, will be in partner's hand, and he will get it as well. Here's another instance. This time, partner leads the 4. Dummy plays the 2. With both the king and the queen here, declarer doesn't know for sure where the ace is. We're assuming this is a no trump contract. If it's a suit contract, he knows where the ace is over here in the third hand. So he plays the 2. Which card does third hand play? Anybody have a thought?
The
10.
10.
10, yes, absolutely. Keeping the ace over the king. This is what I was talking about when I said when declarer has the king and the queen of a suit, he's always entitled to 1 trick. We'll let him have his trick with the queen. We're not giving him a trick with the king as well. Notice if third hand flies up with the ace here, declarer now gets a trick with the king and the queen. He does not deserve them. Don't let him have them when that's the situation. Now we're going to talk about the instance when partner leads a high card. Leads a high card here. Partner leads the jack in this first instance. What do you think third hand should play when declarer calls for the 6?
The queen.
Why are we doing that, Deborah?
We want to guard the king with the ace, but we also want to unblock.
Well, once you take the queen, what are you going to do? You're not going to put the ace on the table, are you?
Another suit.
Well, how about this? How about if we let, what do we know about partner's jack? We know partner's jack is high, right? We do. How about if we let him hold it?
Good idea.
Yeah. To lead you that king again. Partner's only shown 1 point here. We don't know what the contract is. On a holding like this, when you can see the king and partner has played the jack, let the jack hold the trick. This way you will get 4 tricks out of the suit. It's the only way you will get 4 tricks. Because if you lead another suit, declarer may have time to take his tricks, to make a no trump contract. There's the element of time in the opening lead. It's called the tempo of the hand. The defenders get a tempo because they get the first lead. If you give that up, you have to have a good reason to give it up. In this case, we can take 4 tricks in this suit and keep declarer from getting a trick with the king. What we have to do now, when partner leads the 10 the next time, then we have to play the queen on it. And after that, we'll play the ace to drop the king. And declarer gets no tricks. But there's no particular reason here to play the queen. We want to keep the king trapped by the ace queen. So in this case, the 4 is the correct play because the jack is high. The jack is high. That's kind of a different thing, isn't it? This is a different situation though. Partner's leading high. Now then, similar but not quite the same. Partner leads the jack. Dummy plays a low card. Now what do? We have the ace and the 7 and the 3. That 7 doesn't look very promising, does it? What are we going to do here? Does partner have the king or the queen?
No,
Not, right? He led the jack. We see the king in the dummy. We have the ace. If partner had the queen, he would not have led the jack. So we know where the queen is. How many tricks is the declarer entitled to here? From this whole, just one, right? That means that we should not hop up with the ace here. Not a good idea. We know partner doesn't have the queen. We can see the king in the dummy. If you play the ace, you don't have enough cards in your hand to get partner's jack established. So what you have to do here is play the 7. It covers the 6. Not by much, but notice if declarer wants the trick, he has to play the queen because, well, partly we know this is the situation because partner's lead, we see the 8 in the dummy. So we know partner has jack 10, 9 if this is a lead against no trump. So we can see the 8. We know that the 7 will force at least the queen. If you sit and think about it for a minute, the 7 is better than it looks. You can see the 8 in the dummy and partner should have the jack 10, 9 for his lead. So play the 7, declarer wins the queen. He's entitled to that trick. There's nothing you can do to stop him from winning one trick in this suit. But you retain your ace over the king. Partner will figure out what's going on. Hopefully he's been around the block a time or two and he'll know. So when he gets back in, he can lead the 10, once again trying to force the declarer to play the king. If he does, then third hand will play the ace. But if he doesn't, third hand still has the 3 to play. And then when partner leads the 9, the king will fall and third hand will take it with the ace, and declarer gets only the 1 trick to which he is entitled, not more. He gets 1 trick and 1 trick only.
Susan, couple of things. I got a question from the chat. What do you do if the dummy plays the 8? And then Ella has her hand up.
What do you do if dummy plays the 8? Well, in that case, I'm still not playing my ace. I'm still not playing my ace. That's an unfortunate happenstance. But if he plays the 8, then you have to let him hold it. But holding the 8 and the 6, most declarers, I think, would play the 6. There's just precious little difference in the two. Because
Well, it doesn't matter if he played the 8 because the jack is over the 8 anyway.
Well, that's right. But the thing about it is, though, in this instance, if that's the case, then he's going to get 2 tricks no matter what he does. But let's make this the king, the 5, and the 2, for instance. I mean, sometimes spot cards are such that happens. But as a general principle here, playing the 7 is the correct card. If declarer plays it, there's no reason for the declarer to play the 8 instead of the 6. There just isn't. So I think that might happen with some declarers, but most declarers will play the 6. So he's going to get 2 tricks regardless, So, all right, let's talk about number 3 here. Partner leads the jack. Partner leads the jack. Notice this is an interior sequence. These things are hard to read for declarers and hard for partners to read as well. This is why some people use coded 9s and 10s leads. From this particular holding, they would lead the 10 because leading the jack would deny a higher honor, while the 10 would say, I either have 0 or 2 higher. cards. That's a matter of partnership agreement. I have played coded 9s and 10s, and my personal opinion is that it gives away too much information to the declarer. But if you like coded 9s and 10s, then by all means play them. So when partner plays the jack and you see only low cards in the dummy, what do you play here as third hand?
The ace.
The ace. That's exactly right. Good for you. Good for you. We know beyond any shadow of a doubt that declarer holds the queen, don't we? If he has the king and queen both, he's going to get 2 tricks in the suit no matter what we do. But if partner is holding the king, if he has this interior sequence like I've shown here, then it is critical that third hand play the ace. That's to keep the declarer from winning a trick with this queen. He is not entitled to a trick with this queen on this holding. Third hand has to play the ace, put the 4 back on the table. Now the queen is trapped between the king and the 10. He never gets a trick. The defenders take the first 4 tricks in this suit. This is why interior sequences can be tough. But in this particular layout, third hand, when there's no honor in the dummy, third hand has to play the ace just in case his partner has the king. There is no way to know whether partner has the king unless you play coded 9s and 10s. And that's a bit advanced for you guys. And as I said, I'm not nutty about it. So in this instance, just make it a habit. Play the ace and hope that partner has the king. If he doesn't, well, declarer was always going to get 2 tricks in this suit anyway. Sometimes you're just fixed by the combination of the cards. But if you do what you're supposed to do, if you follow the guidelines, you're going to come out on the right end most of the time. When the cards will allow it, you will come out on the right end. And in this situation, no honor in the dummy, play the ace. Play the ace. Absolutely. Now then, here's more about what we talked about today. This time, partner leads an honor. We have an honor in our hands here. How are we going to play this to ensure that the defense gets the maximum number of tricks? When partner leads the queen, dummy calls for the ace here. I forgot to underline the ace. The ace is called for from the dummy. What card does third hand play?
King.
A king. Absolutely. Dummy has won the trick, but now it makes no difference whether you get the lead next or whether partner gets the lead next. You have the 2 left to return, or partner can lead the jack and you can play the 2 and the suit will not be blocked. How about number 2 here? Partner leads the jack. Dummy plays the ace. What card does third hand play here?
King or queen.
King or the queen. You absolutely have to get rid of one of these honors. If you don't, if you play the 4, then the winners that are over here in partner's hand after you played your king and queen will be forever stranded unless he has an outside entry. Partners don't always have outside entries. And even if he does have an outside entry, you have to try to guess where it is. Okay, now here's another situation. Partner leads.
Susan, is it better to play the king or the queen? It doesn't matter.
That's a matter of partnership agreement. Sometimes you will play the king and sometimes you will play the queen from this holding. Most people will play the king, promising the queen. So, but that's a matter for you and your partner to discuss. But most pairs will play the top honor, promising the second one. But you know, if you have an honor, the king would be played from either example 1 or example 2. Partner doesn't know which it is. He's just counting on you to do the right thing. Now, when partner leads a low card here, Dummy plays the ace here. What card does third hand play?
The king.
Yes, absolutely. Honor doubleton. Partner has length. We don't know what his top honor is, but we have to get out of his way. The king should hit the table right under that ace. Partner will know you have a doubleton, and he will thank you for getting out of his way. I'm going to see how quickly I can cover this next one here. I will send you the answers to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Here, I want to talk about this last case in particular because it's an exception. When you are defending a no trump contract and partner leads a low card and there are only low cards in the dummy, when you hold ace, queen, third, exactly ace, queen, third, you don't play the ace, you play the queen. If partner has the king, it makes no difference. Queen will hold the trick. But if declarer has the king, he will have to play the king on that queen because he doesn't know where the ace is. He wants a trick from that king, he has to play it immediately. If you play the ace and then you play the queen, declarer doesn't have to take the king, he can hold up and you won't have any more small cards left. The whole idea is to force the declarer to play the king if he has it. If the queen holds the trick, the ace is going to hit the table followed by your low card. If declarer wins the king, when either you or your partner get back in the lead, you now play the ace and you have the small one left to return. So in the very specific example where your partner leads a low card, there are no honors in the dummy, and you hold exactly ace, queen, third, play the queen, not the ace. Thank you for coming, everybody. Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for stopping by the Oklahoma Collective's YouTube channel. Basically, this channel shows recordings of our free 1-hour bridge lessons for advancing players that we offer every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you would like to join us, send your contact information to the email address shown on the screen, and we'll be happy to send you the link. If you would like to follow our channel and be notified when a new recording is uploaded, just click the Oklahoma Collective button below. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.